know that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast. Shame on you!
Shame on you. My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion.
And I'm Kenzie Paige, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion.
And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again?
Podcast, period.
You're Power approved. All right.
Are you ready?
Power.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
I'm building an alliance.
God bless the internet.
Okay, let's party. It's showtime.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, Jaden, DKM, and J. Cal.
Hey everyone, it's the Alliance Guys podcast. Presentation of alliance-wrestling.com. Your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. That's DKM. I'm J. Cal.
The depressed J. Cal.
We're the Alliance Guys. Welcome to the show. Each and every Thursday, we come to you, the NWA fam, to talk about the NWA and wrestling in general. And I got to tell you, I don't even know what I'm doing here today, DK. I don't think the NWA
like the other day.
I don't think the NWA wants me as a fan. I don't.
You just figured that out.
My favorite tag team lost the NWA tag team titles.
I know, and I feel for you. I really do. Sort of. So, I mean, what bothers you more? The fact that your favorite tag team has lost the NWA World Women's Tag Team Championships, or the fact that the team that won it has wrestled in the NWA twice, the first time in a world title match where they lost semi-cleanly, and the second time they've managed to take the titles.
Well, okay.
Without any reason given for why they're wrestling.
So let's be honest. I'm depressed for three reasons. Number one, I'm not in Colorado anymore. Number two, Al Envy's no longer tag team champion. Number three, I don't get it. And it's basically what you just said there, Mr. DKM. We have the head of creative for the National Wrestling Alliance is a very creative person. He wrote Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. He wrote 1979. He wrote so many hits of my young adult teenage years. The man basically had written enough songs that could have been the soundtrack to my life. I have no doubts that Billy Corgan is a creative person. I believe he's an artist. He's a Grammy Award-winning artist, for crying out loud. But why are we pretending like a wrestling show is a wrestling show? Why are we pretending like there isn't a universe that already exists where a tag team or any champion defends their title when there is a worthy competitor? And this is no disrespect to Charity King and Danni Bee, who are a phenomenal tag team, and I can't wait to see what's next for them. But my problem with this is they walked into the door into a title shot and lost. And they worked ever so diligently and racked up 100 wins to get... No, they didn't. Their next appearance was another title match. What the actual F? This isn't how wrestling should be. This isn't the way my father intended wrestling to be. This isn't your daddy's wrestling. My dad's wrestling made sense. And it was Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Ho!
Tough guy.
I look, all kidding aside, I'm being overly dramatic. Of course, I think Ella Envy and Kylie Alexa are great talents. And I'm sure like this is a minor setback on what will be a historic career with the National Wrestling Alliance. And I'm excited to see what I said, like the King Bees will bring to the table. But I just wish there was some actual freaking build behind it, you know? Last week we watched an episode of Power that featured a 6-woman tag match to crown a number 1 contender. And then this week we have a title match of a tag team we haven't seen in like 2 months. Why do they get front of the line treatment? Well, I mean, I know a couple of reasons. One, there aren't a lot of tag teams within the NWA, but women tag teams, that is. But it irks me, DK. How do you feel about it?
Well, yes. I think that it doesn't make a lot of sense. And we don't. I don't understand why there can't be simple storytelling, other than, of course, the recording schedule makes it impossible. But, you know, again, this is proof that a great writer isn't a great painter. You know, a ballerina is not a guitarist. And, you know, a guitarist, musician isn't necessarily a wrestling person. Go order Debbie. And so, you know.
Great classic?
Exactly. Billy was successful musically does not mean he's going to be successful in professional wrestling. And, you know, I don't know if he doesn't get that, or if his goal if his number one goal, let's say it that way, if his number one goal is success isn't part of it. His number one goal is to book a wrestling promotion how he likes.
Yeah.
And if that's his number one goal, well, then I guess he's achieving it. If his number one goal is to, you know, take a historic name and rebuild it and, you know, put it in the upper echelons of wrestling, he's not currently succeeding. And I want to point out that it's more than just us saying that. I mean, I've been reading through reviews on other wrestling sites, and sometimes we're nicer than most. I mean, there are a lot of people out there that just, I mean, they'll watch it like 4 weeks and call it complete garbage and never watch it again. And, you know, I question my own sanity that I sometimes continue to watch it.
Okay. Just getting back to the tag team affair. I mean, look, we know
tag team.
The exchange of the tag titles. I mean, let's be perfectly frank. There hasn't been a lot of time dedicated to the NWA women's tag team titles. If you look just on the recent matches, the title defenses that Pretty and Power have had since winning those titles. Again, they won the titles at the 75th anniversary show by beating M95. Literally sent Maddie Rankowski on her way. Their very next match within the NWA, they teamed with the women's world champion, Kenzie. You know, the faction is Pretty Empowered as well as the tag team. And they took on Ruthie Jay, Samantha Starr, and the Weapons of Mass Destruction. And they won that match. But again, that wasn't a title match. They didn't defend the title. Then the next time Pretty Empowered teamed up together was Kenzie and Kylie in New South Wrestling, where they wrestled intergender. Then back to the NWA, the next time we saw Pretty Empowered in the ring again, it was Ella and Kylie defending against Natalia Markova and Taylor Rising. So again, we didn't see a whole lot of activity there. At Samhain, they defended the titles. And then the following Power, we saw them defend the titles against the King Bees. We didn't see the Pretty Empowered in an NWA ring again until the Caulfield School event for Joe Kazana Promotions, where Kenzie and Kylie teamed up to take on Freya the Slaya and Missa Kate. So that was, again, that was Pretty Empowered, but it wasn't the tag titles and it wasn't Ella Envy. Then the next time we see Pretty Empowered team up again for the NWA, all the way in January at these TV tapings, I guess Paranoia, really. And they took on, again, Danni Bee, Charity King, once again losing the titles. So it's not like the NWA has dedicated a lot of time to the women's tag team division. We haven't seen Ella Envy or Kylie being featured heavily on television. So I guess they kind of are just trying to do what they can to make a little noise. The rumor is that there's going to be a rematch at the next Signature Live event, which takes place this weekend down in Dothan, whatever it is, Alabama, for Hard Times. But I'm just kind of disappointed, right? I'm disappointed that if you want to take the titles off them, I'm totally fine with that. I hope everyone understands that I don't have a problem with the King Bees as a tag team, but I just felt there wasn't a big enough story to develop to warrant taking the titles off of Ella and Kenzie. And I've said lots of times how big a fan I am of Ella Envy. That's not on deaf ears. I really think Kylie might be the best wrestler in the NWA right now. And I say that because I see so much upside in that talent. With all that being said, I don't have a problem with them losing the titles. I don't have a problem with the titles even changing directions completely altogether. I want a story to go along with it. And like I said earlier, you know, pro wrestling is at its best when the stories match the ring work that we're watching. If you can give me a soap opera that matches my pro wrestling, I'm going to be happy with that. And thus far, at least in the women's tag team division, we have not gotten that.
Okay, I have another question for you.
Yeah, please.
What do you think it means that this is a title change that took place basically a month and a half ago?
Yeah.
And they are just now doing it. Might have a rematch in 2 days. Are they trying to make this look like a hot shot?
I mean, that's what it feels like. And look, no one's advertised the title match yet. That's not something that's been advertised.
Well, they haven't advertised much of anything.
We'll get to that. But on Twitter, because X, on the X, I'm kind of on the X. You know that, right, DK? I post quite a bit under the Alliance blog, and I try to be social on social media. And earlier today, I tweeted out that I don't think Ella Envy Pro has ever lost an NWA World Women's Tag Team Championship as a challenger, which I misspoke. She did the first time when her and Kenzie challenged the Hex. But, Ella kind of went out there and said that she wants a rematch. So, again, are we going to see that at Hard Times? We're going to see it at the TV tapings. We don't really know. So if they do pull the trigger, if they get a rematch and regain the titles back at Hard Times, and it very much is a hot shot, but we won't see that for weeks on television.
Well, maybe.
Or
it might be in the first episode they do. That's what I'm saying. It seems like they're trying to, I don't know.
No, I hear what you're saying, and I definitely kind of agree with that sentiment, because the way that they're able to negotiate, when they air the matches, right? Like, they control the narrative. And so you're right. They could put that as the first match out, but we still have TV tapings that they filmed after Paranoia. So like the release said it should be like the Paranoia tapings were filmed in let's see. They did Paranoia. I think I have it here. Maybe not. Oh yeah, they did Paranoia on January 13th. We didn't see any wrestling until February. And then they did TV tapings after Paranoia. Right? And then Hard Times is coming in fast. And they already have TV tapings set for after Hard Times, April 13th.
Okay. So then here's another question. We raged hard against Tyrus never defending the title.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and for me, this is questioning why do we have this title. So, Ella and Kylie won the titles August 27th.
Yes.
And had 3 title defenses, including the title change. So 2 successful and 1 unsuccessful into January. So that's what? August, all of September, all of October, all of November, all of December, and half of January. So that's 4.5 months. So not even a title defense a month. I mean, why do we have these titles?
Well, technically, right? So the first title defense they had was after they won the titles, they defended the titles again against Natalia Markova, Taylor Rising at Samhain. Then their next title defense was they defended the titles against the King Bees. And then on the Return to Robarts Part 4, Kylie defended the title single-handedly against Misa Kate and Ruthie Jay. So technically there's been 4 title defenses for the champions. But even still, your point still remains. They took a knee in December. They had 2 title defenses in November and 1 in October, and they did not have a defense in September.
Yeah, I'm looking at cage match, which, as you pointed out, doesn't always get all of them. But yeah, it doesn't even list the single-handed title defense.
You know what?
But how many stars are each match? That's what I want to know.
I thought the match with M95 was good.
I did too. For the title change, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that any of the other matches would be up there what I would call high quality. I mean, the Markova, they weren't bad. Like, I didn't sit there and hate them. But they weren't anything that really has me remembering much about them.
Well, and I think you have to – it's a two-way street too, right? Because, like, Maddie was really solid before she got signed to NXT. You have to kind of celebrate Maddie a little bit. Also, Misa Kate, to me, is maybe the most unsung hero of the NWA women's division right now, because I don't think she's had a bad match with anybody. And then you take into consideration, I think that I said it earlier, Kylie's probably the best talent in the NWA right now, with Ella Envy being a very great hand. I mean, she does a great job in the ring. I feel like she's very versatile as well. So it's like I don't, the talent is there, but like, and this isn't a shot at the King Bees, but you know, they haven't spent as much time teaming. They don't have a huge repertoire of a long resume of matches. And, you know, Markova and Taylor literally hadn't had a single match as a tag team before their match at Samhain. So it's, or maybe one match before then, but not many.
No, they had teamed up. I memean, they actually beat M95 to become the contenders to challenge.
That's right. That's right. I remember. I was there for that. I should remember.
There was a story. Wasn't a long one, but there was at least a story as to why they were there. By the way, have you noticed the NWA doesn't retain their women's champions very well?
No, the Renegade Twins left after losing the titles. Camille has been absent since losing the title. Thunder Rosa left shortly after losing the title. Let's see.
Serena Deeb wasn't even an NWA wrestler.
Serena Deeb wasn't an NWA wrestler. Allison Kay left after losing the tag titles. And she also left after losing the Women's World Championship. So yeah, you're pretty spot on there. And if Kenzie didn't fall forward to the Women's World title, who knows where she'd be at right now. But you have to kind of celebrate our girl Ella Envy, who over the course of 2 years has been an NWA World Tag Team Champion 385 days with 3 different partners. Something I mean that you should at least recognize, like fans should recognize that at least Ella Envy's been holding down that women's division. Either she's been champion or pursuing that title for like 3 years now.
Does that make her the oh crap, what was his name? The New Zealand wrestler for the WWF who held the tag title with many different partners?
Tony Garea.
Does that make her the Tony Garea of the NWA women's division?
I think Danny Deals needs to put that on a t-shirt.
That would almost be funny. Yeah, interesting. She's held the title 3 times, never with the same partner. She's held it. She has the record for the shortest reign and second longest.
Is Hex still the longest reign?
Hex still the longest. And they were actually pretty close. They were only like 20 days or something weird like that away from them. And the thing about it is, if you've done it right, if you come in, if the Killer Bees had, or
King Bees.
What? Oh, King, excuse me. If the King Bees that come in and, wrestled a couple of 2 to 3 tag teams and won and challenged for the title and gotten screwed, and, then there was a reason for the rematch and you might be interested in it. But, I mean, the way they did it is you're just kind of like, eh. Yeah, or I'm kind of like, eh.
As Billy Corgan's cat, I give it 2 hairballs.
2 hairballs. Well, you can't.
Which is more than on Billy Corgan's head.
That is very true. Maybe if the cat, coughed it up on Billy Corgan's head, things would be better.
Oh, wow. So there was that, and then we just spent a good 20 minutes talking about the new champions. And again, no disrespect intended to Danni Bee or Charity King. I'm excited to see what they're going to do with them as champions. I think it's kind of cool, and I don't know if this was done with intention, but it's also Black History Month in the month of February. And even Alex Kane, former MLW World Champion, retweeted the King Bees winning those tag titles. So, I mean, there's something to be said about using the NWA to, help promote culture and inclusivity and all that good stuff. I don't want it to be just no pun intended, a charity thing, though. If you're going to use the King Bees, use them and let them be something more than just a one-off. Let them be more than just a flash in the pan type thing. Let's build that division around Pretty Empowered and the King Bees. Let's give them some actual competition so that these titles feel less like a vanity deal and more like a legitimate division within the NWA. I mean, Jade, I know that you are always scouting talent for Mr. Doctor. Sorry.
Mr. Dr. President
Zirconium.
Yeah.
What
dictator for life.
What good women wrestlers are out there that would be, in your opinion, a good addition to the NWA tag team division?
See, I don't think Mr. Doctor Strange. I don't think NWA's women division should be run as a women's tag team division. I know it's going to sound controversial, but as a fan of 90s and early 2000s All Japan Pro Wrestling, I remember when the tag team division, the main tag team division, was how you push singles wrestlers. And there's not enough of the talent in the NWA right now when it comes to the women wrestlers, in my opinion, to truly even have two separate, even let alone three separate women's championships. So if you're going to do that, just basically rotate them around and have some as the women's champions and some as the TV champion, and one as the TV champion and one as the women's champion. So I would bring in just women wrestlers and just kind of, when somebody's not in the singles title division, they put them in the tag. And there is a lot of good women wrestlers out there. There's this woman called Valerie Verman. She reminds me a lot of Missy Hyatt, but she could actually wrestle. So she was pretty entertaining, but she's got such a Missy Hyatt vibe to her that I think the NWA could use that very well. I think Zoe, I would say Zoe Stark, but that's a WWE wrestler. Zoe Sky, she is very, very, very good, very talented in the ring. Notorious Mimi, she's got a good look. She's got some ability. She's got some experience with NXT. She's got some personality. I think she might make a good addition to the women's division in the NWA. And then Christina Marie is my top choice. She is probably one of the top unsigned, unknown, not so well-known women wrestlers out there. She's very, very, very good. And I don't think people ever gave her a shot, because when she originally was out there, she had the same fire engine red hair as the one girl in the WWE. And I think that kind of held her back for a while. But now that she's got last time I saw her, she was blonde, but I think she actually may have dyed her hair dark. It's just a good look on her, and it works really well. And she's so talented in the ring that I think she would be a good addition to the women's division. Plus, there's a couple of them in the Ohio Valley Wrestling that also I think might be good additions too.
DK, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't follow women's wrestling enough to know who's out there or whatever. The King Bees, of course, are down Houston way, so I'm assuming they're part of Booker's group. And there are women tag teams, but again, I don't follow women's wrestling specifically. Mission Pro has tag team championships.
That's where the Renegade Twins came from, and honestly, that's kind of where the King Bees came from, I think.
I mean, it certainly may be. Like I said, they didn't start as a tag team. They were actually individual wrestlers.
Well, they actually were feuding.
I was going to say, I think it's kind of a British Bulldogs type thing. I think they were feuding with each other and then kind of ended up as a tag team together.
That's how America's Most Wanted became too. They were actually feuding with each other and they made them a tag team. And the Bashams.
So here's
in the bar.
Yeah. Well, they actually were feuding each other in the same promotion. The rest of them were just feuding elsewhere and then just brought to wherever they were to be as a tag team.
Here's a list of current NWA talent who wrestle for the female division. Obviously, Kenzie's your world's women's champion. Max the Impaler, the television champion. Then, of course, the King Bees are your tag team champions. Then here's a list of the names who are not champions. Tiffany Nieves, Misa Kate, Natalia Markova, Kylie Paige, Ella Envy, Ruthie Jay, Samantha Starr, Rosa Negra, Reka Tehaka, and I know there's a few more that I'm missing, but like,
bless you.
Yeah. Oh, Taylor Rising. So I mean, I don't believe that
CJ.
the roster. What's that now?
CJ.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know how I missed that one. So there is some. I mean, there's a lot of good talent on that women's roster. I don't think I wouldn't argue that the roster is bad, just that they haven't done enough. Again, there's so many talented women there that you could make at least another 2 tag teams, 3 tag teams to go back and forth with, Danni Bee and Charity King. I just, you're right in the sense that there isn't enough for everything. You got to kind of pick and choose where you want to go. The TV title was kind of wasn't the best business decision when you don't even have enough competitors to make a solid top 10 for the women's title and the tag titles. There's a lot of if you're in the tag team division, you probably shouldn't be wrestling for the world title. You know what I mean?
Well, back in the day, if a territory wasn't like a tag team specialist territory like Jim Crockett's promotions, but they still had tag team champions, what you typically did, and if you go back and watch old Georgia Championship Wrestling with the national titles, you'll see this is very common, is that you would take two of your singles wrestlers, put them together as a team, either out of nowhere or, there might be a reason they start teaming together. And they would team on the studio wrestling show where they'd beat enhancement talent, get a little winning streak come up, and then there was a reason for them to challenge for the tag team titles. Now, other times it might be because one of the wrestler has a problem with the tag team champions and gets jumped, and they end up with they get saved by somebody and they end up getting a tag team title match. But these people weren't necessarily the ones who were going to win the title. These were just challengers to put in place until the next real tag team came along, to give us a good feud or whatever. Terry Gordy did it with Tito Santana after Michael Hayes left.
I thought it was Jimmy Snuka.
No, that was the first time. I'm talking about the second time.
Okay.
When Hayes left, when they won the national tag team titles, and were feuding with Ole Anderson and Stan Hansen, and then they ended up losing the national titles to the Samoans, and Michael Hayes left. He was injured. And he had left and gone to Texas. Gary Hart had taken him to Texas. And so he was starting. And so Terry Gordy was there alone. So Terry Gordy and Tito Santana would team up to take on the Samoans. And that was just until they could do something else, which I think they finally brought in the Moondogs. And then both teams went back to WWE and they vacated titles, and we got the Road Warriors. Because of something stupid Matt Bourne did.
They did have a lot of makeshift tag teams, though. Don't forget, Don Morocco and Wahoo McDaniels were a tag team. Bob Roop and Ron Garvin were a tag team. Dick Slater and Bob Orton were a tag team. But yet they were also single. All of them were singles wrestlers. So that was very common. Like I said, in Japan, it was also very common. All the tag teams wrestled for the secondary tag team belts usually in All Japan Pro Wrestling, and all the top singles wrestlers wrestled for the main tag team titles. So, with the division, it's not that strong. I always credit Terry Funk. I don't remember if it was him, but I always credit him with this saying, you shouldn't have a title unless you could have 8 unique, strong challengers for that championship, where any one of those 8 wrestlers, and then the champion, any one of them can be championed at any time, and any one of them can challenge for the championship at any time, and you can see it. Is there even 8 strong challengers right now for the world heavyweight title in the NWA?
8.
I'm not sure there's one.
Okay, so that's kind of the road I was going down, and let me just reiterate. Let me say it again. I would say Tiffany Nieves would make a great challenger for the title. Misa Kate, Natalia Markova, La Rosa Negra.
My favorite of the group.
Yeah, I knew that. So I would say you have 4, right? In my opinion, you have 4 really good challengers for the women's title. If you want to throw, and that's not including Max the Impaler, who
Max should be. Max is their own champion. So
Got
that
it.
title should disqualify them from the top 8.
Okay.
Not
So
necessarily rankings wise, but I mean, like if you're looking for 8 strong challengers.
Sure. So then, so after those 4, then, I wouldn't put Taylor Rising in a world's women's title match. Reka Tehaka has not done anything in the NWA yet to be put into a title match. Now, after she debuts and you guys see her, your opinion might change because she is a Spitfire. But right now, I would not put her in there. Kylie Paige would be interesting, right? Because that's the sister, and honestly, I think Kylie Paige might be the most talented one on the roster. Ella Envy might be fun, but again, these two haven't really done a whole lot of singles wrestlers. Ruthie Jay had a title match, and I don't think she should have. So I'm going to stick to the 4 that I mentioned: Tiffany Nieves, Missa Kate, Natalia Markova, La Rosa Negra.
Well, in any of the others that you talked about, if you build them,
they will come.
Then, they can fit in. But you got to be able to put them in the ring. They have to be able to win, and they have to look good when winning. Because I'm going to sidetrack this here. Sorry, Jay. Or you end up with what happened with Maxine Dupree that all the wrestlers are freaking out about. So I'm going to steal Jay's limelight for just a second. Jaden, do you know the story with Maxine Dupree?
I've heard briefly. I was in class, so I wasn't getting much of what's going on. I was only looking a little bit into it. But the best I could pick up is a lot of the fans don't believe that Maxine Dupree is deserving the push that Maxine Dupree is getting.
Well, it's more specific than that. There's a video clip that went viral, basically the crowd booing Maxine after her match with, I think it was Nia Jax. So I don't know. I haven't seen the match. I'm assuming she probably got squashed. I don't know if she made mistakes or if something happened that made her not look good.
She probably wrestled Nia. That's usually the first start.
Well, yeah, and that very well could be it. But a lot of wrestlers have kind of come to her defense, including Rhea Ripley and some others who basically said, hey, here's somebody that's having to learn and, doesn't deserve the reaction she's getting, blah, blah, blah. Again, having not seen the match, I can't comment specifically as to whether it's quote unquote deserved or not deserved. But yeah, there does seem to be. Okay, Rhea Ripley's thing was, I wish that some of you got booed and ridiculed in the public eye while being new at your job. Learning and getting better is all part of being human. Be better as humans. And someone
Rhea
else.
Ripley never worked retail, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. Or waited tables.
I got booed once.
I was going to say, or waited tables, because
yeah,
it's about the same thing. So is this poor girl getting booed at a house show for trying to get better? Wrestling fans suck. Okay. I don't know. Like I said, I did not see the match, so I cannot comment on whether she looked good or she looked bad or whatever. Now, if only WWE had a place for young talent to go to learn the tricks of the trade. But, on the other hand, like, don't be an asshole. And I think, I think some of the people were kind of being assholes, like, they shout, I hope you never come back, or, whatever. And, don't do that. But there's only 3 types of feedback you can get on a wrestler that matters. And that is, does the crowd cheer if they're supposed to cheer, boo if they're supposed to boo in the right way, boo because it's not good, or, do they sit on their hands and not care? And really, that's the only feedback a fan can give. I'm paying money to be entertained. If I don't think somebody's doing a good job, I booed at EC3 getting out of the ring and talking to Vladimir. I booed the hell out of him and yelled different things.
I was there.
Yeah, Jay booed and yelled different things too. But most of his can be repeated. Some of mine can't. And so, I mean, I don't have a problem with booing, but, you know, it's another thing where, hey, thank you. It's another thing where sometimes you got to toughen up too and be able to take it. But yeah, don't be an ass about it. That would be my guideline. I mean, what's your feeling, Jaden? Because you've been out there as a wrestler.
As a wrestler, as a manager, as a ring announcer, as a referee, and I deserve to get booed as a referee, by the way. Every other time I was intentionally trying to get booed, the ref was not it.
Sorry, that's funny.
But you know, one of the first things they taught us is if you're sensitive, you don't belong in wrestling. I think that is something that's lost. But also, I do think the fan now over expects what they need to, you know, expect to have. It's one thing when you say something because you legitimately hate somebody because you buy into their gimmick, and you're saying, you know, the worst things about their mother or their family or whatever, and that's because you elicit that emotion out of them, and it's the money that they're paying to see you get your butt kicked. Some of these fans, honestly, they should have never left their mother's basement. In fact, they should have never left their mother's room. The best part of them dribbled down their mother's leg, honestly.
Ended up as a brown stain on the mattress.
Mm-hmm. So that's unfortunately what I think nowadays too. I think the internet has made too many people think that they could also say something and get away with it. You know, lawyers also make people think they can get away with things too. That's why if you have a really good lawyer, you can. I've gotten away with a lot because of a good lawyer, so I know.
I would say this, man. I would say, like, for real, the internet has made people comfortable with saying things that in the past would get you punched in the face. And I sometimes I miss that because people say a lot of inappropriate
things that you get them punched in the face.
Look, I don't say things that are inappropriate, man. You know what? Here's the honest truth. I call it like I see it. I never sugarcoat shit. I tell you guys who are in the chat and you gentlemen who are sitting here on camera with me exactly how I feel. And what I'm saying to you right now is the same thing I would say to any of the wrestlers that we're talking about, to anybody who would listen to me. And I'm not coming off as an asshole. I'm coming off as someone who cares about the product or cares about what I'm talking about. So I have told wrestling promoters that I wasn't impressed by their show. I've told wrestling promoters that I've been unhappy at their events.
But you also cheered Dave Dahl, so we have to worry about you.
Okay, well I cheered Dave Dahl to get a reaction out of the audience. That's all. That was called ribbing, right? That's what they do in the locker room.
And then they want to kick your butt. Were you afraid for your life?
Realize it would get him killed.
No, because I wasn't worried because Raluca was there, you know, and Raluca, I think, could kick some ass, and she had my back. So
yeah, Raluca Salt would keep you safe.
Raluca's a badass. I'm not.
Yeah.
Nothing more needs to be said about that. She's the reluchador, don't you know?
Heard she smacks Tim around, and he doesn't even have to pay for it anymore.
Hold on a second. Let me just put something on the screen here real quick. Wait, where is it?
Is this the not the thought? Yeah. Yeah. Look, just because you're the one that puts out the script doesn't mean that you get that.
No, but with that being said, like, look, I had a wrestling promoter say to me, like, hey, so what'd you think of the show? And hey, man, you know, there was some things that I liked about it, and I'd rather talk about the positives, but if you want to know the negatives, I'll be happy to share that with you. I'm like, well, yeah, tell me what you thought, like what was good, what was bad, and I laid it on them. you're like, oh, okay, I didn't see it from that perspective before. But that's not every booker either. That's not every promoter either. Some people just don't want to hear the truth. Some people are just, it's my show. I'm going to do what I want.
I made a wrestler sit in the corner and boo-boo face because I told him his match was the drizzling shits.
How did Dave Dahl respond to that?
Oh, that'd be actually an upgrade for his matches.
Good point. Yeah. Tell Dave that. He'd be happy.
Yeah.
You mean you didn't throw up this time?
Yeah, I did, but I swallowed it back down.
Don't go there, please. Matthew Underwood says, watching Fodder's YouTube channel lately, this control your narrative gimmick was better Roman Emperor, but when in Rome. Matthew, you're going to have to explain that to me. Maybe I'm a little too street smart to understand what you're trying to say there.
I think he meant Roman Empire, but it's a thing.
I don't
put it back up again.
Watching Fodder's YouTube channel lately, the control your narrative gimmick was better Roman Emperor, but when in Rome.
Better Roman Empire.
Matthew,
okay. Please. Yeah, Matthew, please explain that. So we're missing something. But apparently there's a trend going around now about
the Roman Empire. Like, what do you think about a lot?
Or, do guys think about the Roman Empire?
Yeah.
Something like that. And the answer is yes.
I've never spent more than an hour thinking about the Roman Empire.
EC3
a day or in your life?
No, like total. What I had to do for like civics class or history class or whatever it was.
You must have failed.
When I used to have trouble sleeping at 3 o'clock in the morning, there was always 2 shows on. One was about the Roman Empire, and one of them was This Week in History in World War II, and I was on the History Channel, and I used to love that when I couldn't sleep at night. So I'd watch and get enthralled, and then I've ended up where I intentionally wasn't sleeping because I was watching them anyway.
I am when I can't sleep, it's usually because I have ideas of things to do. Like, again, I run my own business. I very much consider the Alliance blog part of a business as well. So, like, there's always something that needs to be done. If I'm awake, that's usually what I'm doing. You'll notice there's a lot of YouTube videos that Jake Howe posts on the Alliance blog that pop off at, like, midnight. It's because I'm usually up around that time doing that sort of thing.
I thought it was just because you were crazy.
So look, sometimes they're scheduled. Sometimes they're literally being produced as I'm sitting there next to my lovely wife who's enjoying rest, and I'm infinitely jealous with my CPAP machine on, not sleeping at all.
Darth Kylie.
Yeah.
Maybe you should wear your CPAP to one of the shows. And then,
You wouldn't be able to hear me. It'd be like, oh.
Maybe you should wear them on the podcast.
Well, I was going to say, damn, he caught on.
I was born into the night. You merely played it.
You sound like a beginning of an Eminem video.
Yeah. Can I have your attention, please?
Will the real Slim Shady please stand up?
Holy shit, that's the most hippest thing DKM's ever said on the show.
Since the last time he injured his hip, yeah.
Oh.
I think we have a problem here. Oh.
Don't act like you ain't never seen a white boy before. All right.
That must mean I'm disgusting.
Jeez.
Jay, you're the only white boy on this channel right now.
I love me some Slim Shady. Why would you guys think I didn't?
I just want. I think the new channel for DKM should be him literally performing the best of Slim Shady.
I need some DMX in there too. Honestly,
I can't do Rap God. I can tell you that much.
Jesus Christ, my whole brain's exploded right now.
I could do the nations of the world.
Let's hear it.
United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican, Cuban, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina, then Ecuador, Chile, Brazil, Costa Rica, Belize, Nicaragua, Bermuda, Ceylon, Paraguay, Uruguay, Suriname, and French Guiana, Barbados, and Guam. You want the rest? Yeah, right.
About 30 years now. Oh, I don't think it's been 30 years since.
It was the 90s. I think so, wasn't it?
Don't forget that Tim Storm referenced Slim Shady in a promo because you've got one opportunity.
No, he's been around forever, but he's had some newer stuff. Of course, I don't know. I don't know how old his newer stuff is anymore.
Well, this show took a turn for the better.
Well,
so, who was better, DK, Biggie or Tupac?
What?
Who was your choice, Biggie or Tupac?
Oh, I was a Tupac fan.
Jay?
I'm a West Coaster, so of course Tupac.
Okay. Surprisingly, I like Tupac better than Biggie, even though I really did like Biggie.
No, you know what? I think they were both like, look, okay, so I'm probably not the best reference point here, but I did grow up in the 80s listening to gangster rap. I could still probably rap most of the Eazy-E songs, although I won't do it on this channel. I've always
subscribe to the new channel when Jay raps Easy.
Jay does the NWA instead of the NWA doing Jay.
Let me hear you, Jay. That should, if anything, that'll make at least it'll make a good short.
No, we're not doing that. Not.
Come on,
whiner.
I could do Bionics.
Slam.
I love that song. I'm a big boy, giving him a big boy stance. Hey, but give me the microphone before I bust on my pants.
My raw language is polluted. Onyx is heavyweight and still
undisputed.
Did you ever hear the song that they did with Biohazard on the Judgment Night soundtrack where they took rap and rock and blended them together? So
that's Bionics.
Yeah.
When they Biohazard and Onyx together, it was great. I love that.
And then Pearl Jam did a song with Cypress Hill that was really, really good.
Cypress Hill was underrated too. Insane in the membrane, insane in the brain.
Have you read the lyrics to that? Those guys use the N-word a lot more than I was comfortable with.
Well, I stopped at that part.
Okay.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah.
Jay or Jaden?
Today's date.
What's that?
What is today's date?
Today is February the 29th. It only happens every 4 years.
And Jay.
Yeah.
When is the next signature live event for the NWA?
Well, that's a great question because it's actually coming up this weekend. Hard times.
Hey, Jay.
Yes, sir.
What's the NWA World Heavyweight Champion doing at Hard Times?
Fuck if I know.
Is he even going to be there?
So is he going to be there? That's the $50 million question now, isn't it? If you go to the
NWA, Tony Khan, yes. Billy Corgan, no.
Wait, what?
Tony Khan's a $50 million question.
Okay.
Billy Corgan, it's like a $395.
When you look at the NWA event poster for this show, I mean, front and center, and I don't have it, I'm sorry, but front and center is EC3 with the 10 pounds of gold. And directly behind him would be Max the Impaler, your television champions. You have Kenzie Paige directly behind EC3 on either side. And then you've got, Silas Mason, and then who is the national champion. Yes, I would assume he's going to be on the card. But what is he doing? Man, I don't know. And it's what it was explained to me through our friend Gary Horn is that, the NWA and the CW deal, the CW wants as much early notice for advertising and everything as soon as possible. So they want to announce that cage match as soon as they can. And we didn't know for weeks who that cage match was going to be. We found out this week that the cage match is going to be Team Murknox versus the Southern Six in Alex Taylor and Kerry Morton, kind of a rematch from the last signature live event, Paranoia. So
I didn't have a chance to complain about that match.
You say what?
I didn't have a chance to finish complaining about that match.
Well, now's a good time. I mean, it's the main event for they said that the cage match is the main event for the signature live event. So tell me what your thoughts are on that.
Before he does, we should make a special thing, a theme song, and a little video of like, welcome to DK's cloud. He yells at the cloud. Welcome to DK's cloud.
Okay,
and then we'll just have like a little video.
I'm just going to say this right now. Dave Scooby, if you're still watching, one of your production audio videos would be amazing for that. Continue.
Well, in the first match, which they declared a no contest, despite the fact that Ricky Morton put his hands on the referee and pulled him out, and that should have been disqualification. So they ignore that. And then also, if you watch, you'll see that Ricky Morton gets clocked 2 or 3 times by one of Murknox, and he never really sells. He just kind of like turns his back or, whatever. He barely sells anything that happens to him.
Too big of a star now. Back when he was a nobody, he used to sell like crazy. In fact, Ricky Morton was the king of selling. But now that he's a big star, he doesn't need to sell anymore.
Apparently, that is the way he looks at it.
Papa said no sell.
I haven't figured it out, but yeah, that really irritated me. And so then instead of letting Murknox win to set up the, or even if they took it by DQ, so we could set up a match we might care about, like the tag team champions versus Murknox inside a steel cage. No, we're getting the Southern Six with Murknox inside a steel cage, which was billed as the main event. The cage match was going to be the main event. And I don't care about it really much at all. I guess they're going to put Ricky Morton in the cage, but the problem is once the match over, they're going to let him out.
Hey, I have some late breaking news. Can we interrupt this segment for some late breaking news?
Always.
Late breaking news.
Former guest of the Alliance Guys podcast and current free agent has made his decision on where he is signing, and we now know that Hammerstone has signed with TNA Wrestling. I want your reaction.
I'm excited, and I wonder if part of the thing that kept it from happening was they fired Scott, so they had to wait for some stuff to settle down.
I think this is look. Let's DK spend 5 minutes. Tell me why this is a great move for TNA or why this is a bad move for TNA.
I think it's good move for TNA because I think Hammerstone's somebody who, let's face it, he grew bigger than MLW before he ever even won the MLW World Championship. And so a lot of people were ready for him to take the title from Jacob Fatu. And I think TNA is, even with the stupidity of firing Scott D'Amore the way it happened, getting a talent like Hammerstone's always a good thing. So there are several people I think he can have good matches with in there.
Please bring in Fatu. Please bring in Richard Holiday.
Well, Jaden, spend a minute or two telling us why this is such a good decision.
Hammerstone looks like a wrestler, acts like a wrestler, carries himself like a wrestler, talks like a wrestler, and can wrestle like a wrestler. He is somebody that they can market, put on a poster, and people are going to pay attention to. Put him on the marquee, put him in a billboard, put him in a program. He looks like somebody who's going to grab your attention. He is right now the best thing that they've done in a little bit. I don't think the idea of calling him so total non-stop action was a wise idea. I'm not the biggest Scott D'Amore booking fan. The way they got rid of him was stupid. So this is a good positive move in their part to try to get themselves out of the doldrums of the stupidity and the mistakes that they were making and maybe start making some positives. I finally got to see his match against Josh Alexander. I'm happy. I would want to see more of that. Josh Alexander is also one of the best things, and Moose is another one. Oh, God, him and Moose. Tell me that ain't money.
Oh, that's money.
I think you just crushed it with that. Look, I think the potential matchups that are there are very exciting. I think also
PCO, even though he's 900 years old and basically Frankenstein, I think that match will be great.
The other thing I think about too is that you know, AEW has a wealth of hosses, right? I mean, just on the surface, Wardlow, Brian Cage,
Hobbs.
Hobbs, thank you. I couldn't forget Hobbs, Lance Archer, even to a lesser extent, even though we haven't seen him a lot lately, Keith Lee. There's a lot of hosses on that roster. And I feel like a guy like Hammerstone, although he's extremely talented, and this is the same thing I say about Brian Cage. Cage is a very talented dude, but he gets lost in the sauce over there in AEW. And then when you go to the WWE, it's not. I don't see anybody like Hammerstone on that WWE roster. There's nobody like Brian Cage on that WWE roster, and I don't know if they don't want guys that big or what the issue is. I just don't see men like that on their roster.
Men.
TNA's a catch-all. Men.
Yeah, they finally moved Steiner up to the main roster.
Oh, yeah. They did?
And the Creeds are big guys.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're not big like Hammerstone. Hammerstone, I think Hammerstone will always get compared as a smaller Brock Lesnar in the WWE. And, you know, right now, that's a bad thing.
That's true.
When I was in Vegas, oops, I didn't mean to have it like that. When I was in Vegas for the Ring Warriors show, there was a matchup between the now LA Knight versus a much younger, smaller Hammerstone, and the fans called him Single H because he looked like Triple H, but he wasn't quite as big. I would say that he would now dwarf Triple H in terms of size, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And the matchups right themselves. You said Moose, and that's a good match. But there's a lot of guys on that roster that I think could have a lot of fun matches with a guy like Hammerstone. Josh Alexander, a rematch might be fun. Steve Macklin might be a fun matchup. And then you can't forget guys like Nick Nemeth, who are new to the roster as well. There's a lot of marquee matches for Hammerstone in TNA wrestling. I think that's a slam dunk of victory for them, 100%. For both sides, by the way, because he's still going to have the ability to do international tours like the one that's coming up with World Series of Wrestling, and he's still going to be able to take indie bookings. This is a win-win for everyone involved.
The last wrestling pay-per-view that I bought was the TNA pay-per-view, not the one that he just had, but the January one, for the exact reason of Hammerstone versus Josh Alexander. It is the only reason I bought that pay-per-view. I put it on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it. I knew it. I mean, just as soon as they announced it, I wanted to see it. And I was willing to pay the money for the pay-per-view to see that and then just kind of figure out, where TNA was as a wrestling promotion. They still do a lot of things I don't care for, but they're actually they're better than AEW. I'll tell you, I'll flat out tell you that when it comes to a product, TNA is better than AEW by far. And I just, Jaden mentioned Moose. Yeah, you put Hammerstone and Moose in a match together. Yeah, I'm probably buying that pay-per-view. And to give you an idea, the last time I bought a pay-per-view, ROH was still an independent wrestling promotion. Because it was an ROH pay-per-view that I got for like $25. I don't remember what I want to see on it anymore, but I think it was because it was one of their last ones before they went on hiatus. And it may have been FTR versus the Briscoes why I got that one. Or that may have been the one I got. And just if you say so. And it's just one of those. People underestimate the fact that a match can get you to buy a pay-per-view.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you focus on a match that has two very top talents that you want to see, people will pay for that. Or if you told a story so well and you're heading into the blow-off part of it, you know, you'll pay for that.
Sometimes you pay extra for that.
Sometimes you pay by watching the rest of the show.
Real quick, if you don't mind, I have some more, not necessarily late breaking news, but other news that I think is important to talk about. At the Revolution media call, Tony Khan mentioned that he had some interest in another free agent that's out there, a bit of a powerhouse in their own right. In fact, the Brick House, Camille. Tony says that he has a lot of respect for Camille, and she'd be a great fit in the AEW roster at any time. And Tony says that Camille is definitely somebody they're keeping in consideration for the future. We've mentioned it before, but now that's the first time we've ever heard Tony really acknowledge Camille. We know that she was at a Ring of Honor event. No, not the Ring of Honor event, but the AEW event that featured Ring of Honor matches. I mean, DK, do you see Camille ending up in AEW? I mean, the talks have kind of cooled off about her joining NXT. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, at one time it was almost certain she was going to be in NXT. I don't know what happened there that they cooled. I don't know if it was Jade coming in. I don't know if it was Jade not being as prepared as they thought she might be. I mean, she's only been in one match so far.
The Rumble.
Yeah, and that was the Rumble, where you can hide a lot of weaknesses. You know, that's why I always said, I go, you know, they bring Camille in. Is Camille ready for WWE style wrestling? Because WWE style wrestling is totally different. And I don't know that they necessarily, you know, for them, it would be an investment. She would end up at the Performance Center working for a while. And so, I mean, was it money? Was it they lost interest? Was it they got Jade and figured they didn't need another powerhouse? I don't know. But boy, those talks, were they never as close to signing as was reported, which is another good possibility, because things get blown up a lot. Somebody hears something, next thing you know, 50 people down the line, it goes from somebody in NXT like Camille to NXT's ready to sign Camille tomorrow. And so what was the thing? I'm going to I'm going to AEW if you get a good enough contract. It's good for your wallet. Their women's division sucks. Not because the talent sucks, or not all of it. They got plenty of talent, but they've
got plenty of wrestlers. They have some talent.
Yeah. But their booking of it is probably not the best. And they have a tendency to overdo things, such as Toni Storm, who I liked her gimmick at first, and now I don't watch anything that has to do with her gimmick. And I don't know if I told you guys this or not, but I don't even record the AEW shows anymore, because it was getting to the point where I was never watching them, because even reviews by people who liked the show weren't enough to convince me that I needed to see this one thing or that one thing. And so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, do they put her in AEW or do they put her in ROH?
Yes.
ROH, I don't watch it, but from what I've been told by people who do, including our own James
H. Jackson
Jr., that they do their women's division really well there. And so if you put her in ROH and let her, develop more there, then that would probably be a strong and good place for her to be. So, and I think it would be easy to eventually get her an ROH championship, either the world or the new television championship they're creating. I guess we'll see. ROH doesn't even have its own world championship anymore. Since it's
She could also win the hose belt.
What?
She could also win the hose belt.
She could win the hose belt if she's up on the
TBS title. If you look at it, it looks like it says hose.
Yeah. And once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Great. I have that to look forward to. So with that being said, there's just one more thing that I want to acknowledge, point out, speak on. Our friends over at the United Wrestling Network and Derby City Wrestling, they're trying to get back to it. Obviously, there was some a sabbatical for the United Wrestling Network during last year when they had some issues with sponsorships and stuff like that. It looks like they're getting back to it, and so Derby City Wrestling is getting ready to have their first live event in a long time. They're filming matches.
Explain to me Derby City again.
So we all know Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, now going by the name Championship Wrestling, has been out here in Southern California since, probably 2012, 2011, something like that. And they've been consistently running as a program that once was associated with the NWA. Now it's its own entity, part of the United Wrestling Network. They had a sister promotion, Memphis Wrestling, that started off as literally just a hosting program, airing Championship Wrestling from Hollywood content. It spun off into its own show, its own separate entity, still under the United Wrestling Network banner. They efforted to do the same thing in Arizona and Atlanta. Neither one of those worked out long term, but they started doing one in Kentucky, in Louisville, to be specific, Derby City Wrestling. And Dave Marquez has a few local partners in that area where they were filming a separate show entirely from Championship Wrestling. As of right now, while they're still trying to recoup some of the losses that they experienced last year, they've been doing all their production, all their filming in Southern California with the Thunder Studios. But Derby City Wrestling is supposed to be its own entity, again, based out of that Louisville, Lexington, Kentucky area. And they're set to have a live event that's coming up soon. But what I thought was interesting is that this, I guess it's going to be tomorrow on their Fox affiliate out there. They are going to have Derby City's Wrestling TV debut in Lexington. And as special guest for Fox 56, they're going to have Marty Bell, former NWA Women's Tag Team Champion, who has been involved with Derby City Wrestling, and former Championship Wrestling from Hollywood talent and current NWA Exodus Pro talent. Lord Crew will be representing Derby City tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. on Fox 56 News, as they talk about their debut in that area. So just thought it was interesting that, somebody who, at least for me, I've kind of considered Lord Crew more of an NWA guy as of late, still representing the United Wrestling Network.
I mean, speaking of hoes, wrestlers are whoever who pays them.
Yeah, well, that's true. And I don't mean to, yes, absolutely. No one under United Wrestling Network is under like a contract like you would see in the WWE or AEW or even TNA Wrestling. But suffice to say, it'd be very interesting if Lord Crew ends up becoming the NWA Midwest champion or something like that, while he's still representing the United Wrestling Network, Derby City Wrestling. I want to get to some of the comments because there's been a lot of conversation in the chat that we've kind of ignored and I want to get to it. Let's see. Paladin, my pal Adin, says, "Hey Jay, looks like Corgan is getting his TV reality show. Looks like the dirt sheets were right again, buddy." And I want you to know, Paladin, that we never doubted that Billy was going to have a reality show. In fact, I was in places that I probably shouldn't have been and heard the conversation a long, long time ago. The show has already been filmed. They've been waiting to air it. It's going to be dated, for Billy Corgan. It's going to be dated content. But I don't know specifically if that's going to land on the CW app or if it's going to air on the CW channel. I'm not entirely sure where that's going to happen. So it's not that I ever questioned that was going to happen. We just didn't know when and where. So that still remains unknown. I haven't seen a release date. And we read that release last week, and it was very
Corgan-esque.
It was very Billy wrote the damn thing. Let's see. And then Paladin, our Paladin, also says, "Hey, with Jade Cargill gone, Camille is the next option, though. We do have Megan Bay coming in as well, and maybe Mother Wayne is another big woman. Mother Wayne was added to the women's roster, which means she's going to wrestle eventually. I mean, makes sense to me. I don't really follow AEW well enough to know. I know, Mother Wayne is obviously,
Damien's wife?
Damien. No, not Damien. You don't mess with me. Nick Wayne and his father, who passed away, Buddy Wayne, who used to work enhancement for WCW. Nick Wayne has been under the tutelage of Christian and the whole patriarchy in AEW. That's about as much as I know about that. I'm not surprised that Mother Wayne wrestles. I don't know enough about it. Noob says, "I believe that Camille going to AEW will be awesome. As for Natalia Markova, wherever she goes, she's going to be a big deal." And I hope so. I like Camille a lot. Camille proved herself to me as a fan, and I wish her success wherever she goes. And I hope that if she does end up in AEW, it's in a very successful place for her.
I have a quick comment to go there. We all need to be careful how excited we get over anybody going anywhere. AEW has already shown, even using old WWE people, that they're not necessarily, or I shouldn't say old, former WWE talent. I mean, a lot of people were thrilled when Ruby Soho was going to AEW because they didn't know how to use her, unlike that WWE who didn't use her right and didn't feature her and didn't make her a main player and everything. She was going to go to AEW where she was going to be the best. And yeah, I couldn't, she's basically kept her WWE role from what I hear.
I'm excited for people to get paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If Camille goes to AEW, that means she's going to get a fairly decent paycheck. If she goes to WWE, she's going to get a fairly decent paycheck.
You must be really happy for Mandy Rose. That woman's getting paid.
I just want people to be able to afford to have a nice life. With that being said, I want to go back to, again, our pal Adam, who says, "Hey, Jay, what do you think about the NWA being voted the worst weekly show and worst promotion of the year?" I'm going to go to
Observer.
Yeah, I'm going to go to Luthez's comments on that, and he says, "I've seen what most of the voters call good, opinion ignored." I say this all the time. Wrestling is subjective. It's performance art. There is competitiveness to it, but of course it's everyone has a different opinion. And I don't think no two people have the exact same opinion on everything when it comes to professional wrestling. What I like is different than what DK likes and what Jaden likes. If you ask me what the best wrestling in the world is, I'm going to tell you 1996, 1995, WCW Cruiserweight division to me is the pinnacle of pro wrestling. It's what I enjoyed the most. Mixing the mat wrestling with Dean Malenko, the high flying of Rey Mysterio, the charisma of Eddie Guerrero, and the matches that those individuals plus Jericho and Chavo and Seco Play and Halloween and Damien 666 and Liz
What
Martin
about
Jr. And go ahead.
what about El Dandy?
Oh,
Who are you?
Who might have doubt El Dandy, right?
Yeah.
No, I loved the cruiserweight division at that time, which had a lot of influence from Lucha Libre and AAA. So to me, like, that is my opinion of what great wrestling is. I know DKM likes more like mat wrestling, more scientific based wrestling. Hell, DK enjoys watching collegiate wrestling almost as much as he does professional wrestling.
Not
Probably more so now.
Much more. There you go.
Probably way more so now.
So with that being said, like, wrestling is so subjective. This community of NWA fans and people who are hate watching this, look, everyone's going to have a different taste. NWA isn't for everybody. I think more people are surprised that the NWA was even nominated, even talked about, because to be quite honest, there's so much wrestling out there that if you're even thinking about the NWA, you're probably not watching it. Because if you're watching it, you probably enjoy it, at least some elements of it. And
I tried watching it, and that's why I don't watch it anymore.
Exactly. But as far as people saying it's the worst show and the worst promotion of the year, look, I live in Southern California. I could throw a rock and hit a wrestling promotion. There's tons worse wrestling out here. And I would venture to guess, if you ask Jaden how many terrible wrestling promotions are in Jersey, he could point to at least a few. And I'm sure DK could point to a few. And I'm sure if you look in your local backyard,
I could name a few.
I'm sure
not going to, but I could.
I'm sure there's much worse wrestling out there, and that's okay. It's okay. The NWA hasn't made themselves like super fan friendly, and a lot of people are pissed. So awards like that, I don't think they don't help anybody. I don't think it hurts anybody. I bet you there's not one person out there saying, "Oh, the Observer doesn't like the NWA." All right, well, I'll take that off my list. I don't think that's what's going on.
I guarantee there is.
Who won best promotion? I ask as if I probably don't already know. But yeah, I mean, who won best promotion? Who won best booker? Who?
Triple H, Booker of the Year, baby.
Who? And well, what you'll see is
it was the enthusiasm that got me.
What you'll see is one thing is there's a enthusiasm.
I said that real quick, by the way, because there's a guy who Tony Khan tattooed to his arm, looking like his teeth were rotting, that said he's still my Booker of the Year.
I saw that, and then I saw someone responded to that with getting a Triple H tattoo. Big nose and all.
People need help.
Matthew Underwood says, I like AEW, but I fast forward a lot nowadays, but they have enough hours of TV where I get 3 hours that I like. Paladin says, it sucks as NWA fans. We have to wait all week for 45 minutes of content. And, I mean, there's a lot of options out there. I wouldn't, if you're just watching NWA, nothing else. I mean, there's so much good content out there, and there's content that's comparable to what the NWA is.
I started watching the Jim Crockett the Joe Kazana Promotions one.
What did you think of it?
I just didn't get finished, so I don't want to give my opinion yet because unfortunately things kept happening as I was trying to watch it, where I couldn't actually get a chance to watch it. But
I want to watch a few episodes.
I'm going to give it a fair shot. I haven't watched yet, but I want to. I like what I've seen from Joe Kazana Promotions so far, but I have not seen the first season yet, or the latest season.
What about we play it and we do live watch along of it? We don't have to necessarily put it on the program. We can just watch it on our computer while we're doing this and give our opinion on it.
You want to do that next week?
Better watching the NWA. Gives us something to do.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
All right, you heard it here first. Next week, we're going to watch episode 1 of season 4, Joe Kazana Promotions. We're going to watch it and talk about it as we're watching it. So
it's a small episode too. We might be able to get episode 2 in by then.
All right, we'll look into it.
By the way, real quick, I haven't finished watching it again because unfortunately, every time I try to watch something, things come up. But I started watching the new Shogun TV show on Hulu, and what I've seen of it so far, I like. But unfortunately, I said I have to truly sit down and get a chance to watch it from bell to bell, or I guess from start to finish, because I just have a thing with loving for Japan, and I know it's based off an old television show too.
You
But
said
it looks really good.
You said Shogun?
Shogun, yeah. It's based on the period of Japan, feudal Japan area, when the Portuguese were exclusively trading, and everybody else was looking to get into that Japanese market.
I'm still going through Echo. I like the show a lot, but because there's a lot of subtitles, because she doesn't speak, she's deaf, she signs, and I don't know sign language, so you have to pay attention to the text that's on the screen to kind of understand what's going on. And
same for Shogun.
What's that?
Same for Shogun. Yeah.
I find myself, like, if I miss it, then like I don't really understand the context of what I'm watching, so then I go back and rewatch it, and I haven't had enough time to get through it. So that's all. I'm gonna put Shogun. I'm writing Shogun down on my list right here of things to check out.
They call it the Game of Thrones of Japan. So I don't know about that. Like I said, I'm only about halfway through the episode before things got messed up, so I have to start over again.
I like House of Dragon better than I like Game of Thrones.
I heard House of Dragon, then I heard rumble.
I said I liked House of Dragon better than I liked Game of Thrones.
I love the first 3-4 seasons of Game of Thrones and liked the fifth. Kind of was all right with the sixth, and then it just really went down.
That's how I felt about Walking Dead. Let's get back to the chat real quick. Paladin says, yeah, I don't know how any show that has Pretty Empowered can be voted worst anything. See, I mean, that I kind of agree, but, you know, Matthew Underwood says United Wrestling Network, the other alliance. Willie echoes that. Matthew Underwood points out that they have 5 guys that he loves. Pretty Peter Avalon.
By the way, I don't really like Five Guys fries. I don't care. The burgers are right. The fries aren't that great.
If you've ever had In-N-Out, you don't eat at Five Guys because you like good hamburgers and not shitty ones. But free peanuts are cool. PPA, Slice Boogie, Danny Limelight, Jordan Cruz, and Zicky Dice. That's enough for me to keep watching.
Man, I only like one of those. Well, maybe 2. I like 2 of them.
You don't like? Okay, so
I like Danny Limelight, and I've never heard of Jordan Cruz.
You would love Jordan Cruz.
I like Jordan Cruz. I like Danny Limelight and Jordan Cruz. Hate Ziggy Dice. Slice Boogie, I'm not overly fond of, and I'm sick and tired of Peter.
And who are the personal protection associates or whatever?
That's Pretty Peter Avalon.
Oh, all right. Well, I definitely only like 1, maybe 2.
I actually got to say hi to Peter when I saw him last week, and that guy, his dedication to growing his body, knowing where he was when he first started and how skinny and scrawny he was. And he's borderline a body guy now, and I'm proud of him. I don't care if you guys don't like him or not. I think he's awesome. As far as Jordan Cruz goes, do you guys like Bad Dude Tito?
He's okay.
Okay.
I mean, I know Jordan Cruz. I've seen enough of him. I like him.
I think Jordan Cruz is kind of in that same vein as Bad Dude Tito. He's somewhat of a wrestling prodigy. Everything seemingly has come easy for him, and he's only getting better. And I really like where Jordan Cruz is going. I would not be surprised if he ends up in a New Japan or All Japan ring before the end of the year. I just feel like he's got that kind of potential. He's had opportunities with the WWE. A few tryouts went down to the Performance Center. Nothing came of it, but he's a guy that I could see, like, nobody's talking about Jordan Cruz right now. And I think a year from now, everyone's going to be talking about Jordan Cruz.
Why isn't he a guest on this thing so everybody starts talking about him?
You know, it's kind of funny. I haven't tried.
Well, I think right now that should be. Give him a call. Jordan Cruz, this is the Star Maker, J. Cal. We made Danny Limelight and we made everybody else. Now we need you to be the next American Idol.
Okay, I'll put him on the list as well. Jordan Cruz, reach out.
You just made the list.
Oh. That's right. Paladin said that Okada has cancer. I have not heard that. Have either of you heard that Okada has cancer?
Kazuchika Okada? I did not.
Yeah.
I've not heard that.
I hope he doesn't. That
Leukemia? Is it like what kind of cancer?
I don't know. We'll keep going through the chat. Matthew Underwood said she had a great story in AEW, in my opinion. Losing the Owen twice, played second fiddle is kind of her thing. Now a love interest angle. He's talking about Ruby Soho. I still kind of agree with DKM. I feel like it was a very lackluster, even though she has had some solid victories in AEW. Like, people were touting her as a potential AEW Women's World Champion when she jumped ship, and it never happened.
Oh,
isn't that half of people that signed with
the TBS title?
What's that?
Everybody was expecting her to get the TBS title.
Yeah.
She wasn't a hoe enough, I guess.
Guess not.
Not a hoe, for show. Matthew Underwood said, Jay, who could be the Dean Malenko and the juniors? Which promotion are we talking about? I think right now, if we're talking the NWA, maybe Colby is the closest thing you have to a Steve Corino within the NWA currently.
That's not Dean Malenko. That's Steve Corino. Hey, he's the closest thing to Steve Corino is his son.
Did I misspeak there?
Yes.
Sorry, it's been a long day.
And anyway, I would go with Slade if they actually knew what to do with him.
Well, it seems, and that's the other thing. I see advertisements for the Spectaculars 2.0, and I don't see Rush Freeman on the flyer anymore. I just see Slade and Rolando, so I don't know what's going on with that.
All right. A little clearing stuff up. DDT's Yusaki, Yusuke Okada is the one that will be undergoing anti-cancer drug treatment.
Okay. So not the New Japan star, but Yusuke Okada.
Yes.
Okay.
Or at least when I Google Okada wrestler and cancer, that's what pops up. So,
well, all our best to him as well. Cancer sucks. It effing sucks.
DDT, I'm not sure. DDT's that's the promotion with the blow up dolls, right?
Yes. It's where Kenny Omega got his big break in Japan.
Somebody didn't break his back and neck.
So we'll never forgive them, but we still wish anybody with facing cancer the best.
Awesome. Noob says, I hope that Natalia Markova winning the NWA Women's title on Saturday night at Hard Times, pushing Natalia as a top female star when she came to the NWA. Other than that, what's the point? Again, I don't know. I don't know how or why, what they do with Markova. DK and I both saw her live at Hard Times and thought that, after that match with Max, we kind of thought that maybe they would start pushing her towards the women's world title. And it never really panned out. Just never happened. And even when she did get matches, those high-profile matches with Camille, she never looked like she was going to even win the title.
Yeah, and you never believed. I have a question. Does Kenzie Paige as champion lead you to believe that there's a better chance of titles changing hands? Because when it was Camille, it's like they're going to milk Camille for all she has until she's ready to go, which they basically did. And I'm not saying I believe them or I blame them. I'm not saying I blame them. You do what you have to do, but one thing that did cause is you always kind of knew she wasn't going to lose the title, and I knew she wasn't going to lose the title until Kenzie Paige won the chance. But so the next question is now, because one of the things we're talking about, Ruthie Jay or even the Rosa Negra or some of the others, Camille just looked so big and dominant. Even she had matches that stole the show, you still never felt like she was truly being threatened for the title. And so now if you sit there and go, well, some of these people versus Kenzie, because Kenzie's kind of a smaller wrestler, does that help help you think, the title could change hands.
So, if you look at who Kenzie has wrestled since becoming the champion, she's defended the title 7 times. She's had 2 matches against Samantha Starr. In the NWA, she has faced Ruthie Jay and also Tiffany Nieves. I wouldn't say that I've felt at any time Kenzie's title was in peril. And I think that's because, again, a proper challenger hasn't been built up. Markova won that weird 6-person tag match to be crowned number 1 contender. And I think that was just a very, what's the word we used to use? A very diluted way. Yeah, a very diluted way to crown a number 1 contender. And so I don't feel like that title change is going to happen. But I think that, if the right challenger's built up, we haven't seen a single, like, Tiffany Nieves might be the closest thing, and she had a battle with Kenzie, but even then I didn't feel like she was really going to take that title from Kenzie. But I feel like she could be built up to be that challenger. I feel like Missa Kate could be built up to be that challenger. I feel like Markova could be built up to be that challenger. They just need to actually build them up. But until they do that, it's kind of like you're just throwing darts, right? Like,
well, yeah, one of them is that they don't build up people. But then I think another thing is nobody expected it to be a short title reign. But I don't think any of us are expecting a 2-year title reign out of her either. And so, I mean, I'm expecting her to keep the title. On the other hand, would I be 100% shocked if she lost it? Not necessarily. I mean, I guess it's come out that Markova didn't have a contract, but that doesn't mean things haven't changed.
There's a lot of people on the roster that have had titles that weren't under contract.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I don't know that I'd be 100% shocked if she won it. Because Markova's reaching that point where you got to do something with her.
They have to do something. And that's why I thought her and Taylor Rising made so much sense as a tag team, because you could put the tag titles on her. It's the same thing that they did with the King Bees. They could have put the tag titles on Taylor and Markova, and you could have had a decent,
and probably should have.
Give them a short run with the belts. Let them see what they can do. Maybe Markova could make some people care about the tag titles a little bit more. And then you would have had 2 other tag teams in that division. So it wouldn't just be one tag team and 2 women you threw together. You had 3 viable tag teams. And who knows what you could have done with that. And they still might. Still, it's an option. But as of right now, I'm not holding my breath for that. Willie Bowen says Tyrus will have a reality TV show called All You Can Eat.
That's also known as World Famine.
I'm glad that Tyrus is no longer in the NWA. I recently posted a reels of Tyrus. I think he was power bombing or body slamming something EC3 through a table. And I said, 8 months a champion, and I can't say I liked it for a single day. And somebody asked me why. And somebody else responded, because Tyrus is trash. And that's all you need to say. Okay. We were also going to talk a little bit more about this weekend's Signature Live event. Of course, we mentioned Kenzie Paige will defend her title against Natalia Markova. We also mentioned the steel cage tag team matches, the main event. We have the Southern Six versus Murknox. The other match that we haven't really spoken about that has been announced is La Rosa Negra making her return to team with Ruthie Jay to take on this new partnership of Tiffany Nieves and Reka Tehaka. And I have to ask you guys, one,
does it have a graphic?
I thought I saw one, but I don't have it handy. Let me see if I can find it. This was the graphic that I had on hand. Let me see if I can find a graphic real quick. Oh, here it is. Give me a second. I can do this.
Jay the Builder.
I'm just grabbing a few of the graphics real quick. If you could just bear with me. If you guys want to stall, you could stall.
Out of the original 4 wrestlers that I was talking about when there used to be the Valkyrie women's promotion that I wanted to make sure were a part of Valkyrie, La Rosa Negra is the only one that still wrestles.
Who are the other 3? I mean, well, one was Casey. I'm sure.
Casey Carlisle, Sumi Sakai, and Mistress Belmont.
Mistress Belmont. Wow, that's a blast from the past. So we have, for Hard Times, we have the tag team main event steel cage match. We also have Markova versus Kenzie for the world's women's championship. And then, of course, we have the tag team of La Rosa Negra and Ruthie Jay taking on Tiffany, Nieves and Reka Tehaka. Reka Tehaka spent about a season with WOW. She previously had worked for the United Wrestling Network Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. She is a Spitfire. She is, I believe she is a Pacific Islander, and she is double tough. She's not as, I wouldn't say she is as built as big as like a Camille, but she's probably the closest thing the NWA now has to somebody as big as Camille, where she's a powerhouse. I think you guys are going to enjoy her if you haven't seen her yet before.
I like the look of all 4 women wrestlers here. They all have a unique and marketable look to them.
I think what's interesting about it too is these are all women of color, which I think is great. I think more inclusivity within the NWA is a good thing. And I mean, you're looking at someone who is Rosa Negra. She's Puerto Rican or is she Dominican? I don't know, and I don't want to be rude.
I'm not sure.
You know, I don't remember. She's from New York. No.
San Juan,
she was from Florida.
Juan, Puerto Rico. And Ruthie Jay, I think she is also she's from Haiti, right? So you've got Ruthie Jay,
the Haitian sensation, Ruthie Jay.
I didn't know that was her nickname. Or you
it's
just
not.
make that up?
It's actually was Tyree Pride's nickname, but
it's hers now. It's hers now. And then let's see. I'm gonna look up Tiffany Nieves. I'm assuming is Mexican, but again, I don't want to assume anything. They say she's from New York City, so I don't know what her nationality is, but we'll just call her Latina, I guess. And then
New York City, she's probably Puerto Rican.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to assume anything, right?
I'm just going with the colors of the outfit.
That and then Reka Tehaka is American Samoan. So
Polynesian.
She looks mean.
She's tough. She's really, really tough. They bill her at 5'11". I think that might be overstating, but she's like I said, she's probably the closest to Camille that would be in the NWA currently in terms of a powerhouse, a lot of intensity. In fact, I kind of would have liked to seen Camille versus Reka Tehaka in the NWA.
Oh, just for those who would want to know, the King Bees are not only the NWA Tag Team Champions, they're also the Mission Pro Tag Team Champions, which they actually won the Mission Pro titles after the NWA titles, but it was released publicly.
I would love for Mission Pro to develop some sort of relationship with the NWA where there'd be a pipeline of Mission Pro talent into the NWA.
Didn't they almost have that at one time?
It felt like it when Thunder Rosa was around.
I just always assumed there was.
Not directly. Like
she brought a lot of her girls, ladies. She brought a lot of her ladies up when she was still working there, but I don't think it was like official I think it was kind of like when
you got a star bringing talent that drives them.
Well, when Mike Jackson used to load up his car with
Enhancement talent.
Jobbers. They actually fit the definition of jobbers.
Carpenters.
Yeah, jobbers to come in and work the Georgia show.
And the Oklahoma show and the Southeastern show.
Yeah, wherever he would bring all his enhancement talent friends to work as jobbers on TV until they saw that they were supposed to face the Road Warriors, and then just turn around and walk out.
Real quick, a little bit more about Reka Tehaka. She did train at the Nightmare Factory and had some also more training with Manny Lemons.
Like Mandy Bothans. Mandy Bothans died to get those secrets of the Death Star.
Exactly.
Fuck. She did work for WoW for a season. She had a few matches in Ohio Valley. Was a regular for United Wrestling Network. Spent some time with AEW, a few dark matches and stuff like that.
She's a journeywoman.
Actually, she spent a lot of time at AEW. In fact, 2021, she had she appeared kind of like monthly in Jacksonville at Dali's place, a lot of time there. So she's been around, a lot of Ohio Valley stuff. It looks like she's been wrestling since about 2019. And
she's a factory girl. That's probably why. Nightmare Factory Girl. I would explain it.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, Tiffany is the Mission Pro champion.
Yes.
So all the Mission Pro champions are tied to the NWA now.
Yeah. So maybe there is something to that pipeline, but I don't think it's an official pipeline, and no one's publicly stated that.
They need Freya the Slayer back.
Look, Freya the Slayer is working in Joe Kazana Promotions, so there is an opportunity at some point. Maybe she would come up, and that's the thing about these territories, that if they really work the territories the way that the territories were intended, we might see some of this talent come back to the NWA. But yeah, Freya the Slayer I thought she was great. I would like to see her back too.
Should Ohio Valley become a territory?
Didn't we have that conversation already?
We did, and I think this still the sentiment is this: much like CCW, is joining the NWA going to enhance your product, take away from the product, or do about the same?
They're already using the champ. Some of the wrestlers go back and forth.
Yes, they are. They're using the champ, and it could be a good pipeline again to have Ohio Valley talent appear in the NWA and NWA talent appear in Ohio Valley. There could be something there, but at the same time, I mean, what do we know about Billy Corgan? Does he play
Doesn't get along with anybody?
Doesn't get along with anybody.
Doesn't like bass players?
Yes.
That's why I never could work for Billy Corgan, by the way.
You slap at the bass?
Yeah, I was a very good bass player. I could play the acoustic, the upright acoustic, and the electric.
I can't play either.
I didn't play a single instrument.
I wanted to play bass.
Yeah, I don't know what made me be a bass player, honestly.
You know what's fun?
How low can you go? Death row.
I did not know that.
Jay's going to the kazoo real quick. All right.
That when Sting was in the Police, the singer, not the musician, not the wrestler, but that when Sting was in the Police, that he was the bass player.
Yeah. He played the bass in that Stalker song.
Yep.
By the way, there is a new issue of the NWA magazine that's produced by our pal Paul Pratt, available at NWA or nationalwrestlingalliance.com/magazine. Has features on EC3, the King Bees, Samantha Starr, the Fixers, Black G's, the 5-Star Superstar, Ruthie Jay, and a little bit about the history of Gene Kaninsky and the Midnight Rider. It's completely free to download. I highly recommend checking it out. The article on EC3 kind of even gives him a letter grade. don't want to spoil it for you guys, but go check it out. NWA National Wrestling Alliance.com/magazine. Check that out.
Hopefully it's higher than an E or a C.
I think it was a B+.
A B+ player?
Let me see. All right, now you're going to make me spoil it, aren't you?
Paul Pratt can eat no fat. Pollo DeMar can eat no lean.
Should EC3 successfully face and retain it? Wait, let me try that again. Should EC3 successfully face all and retain, it will do wonders for the long-term memory of his time as NWA World's champion. In fact, victory over these top contenders would instantly and unquestionably catapult his reign from a current B+ to A+, a solid 100% across the board. First of all, it's world's champion. There is no apostrophe over the S, Paul, but the rest of it, I think, is pretty accurate.
Some people say it's world's champion, as in multiple worlds.
Yeah, well, I hear that, but I was never really there, anyways. So
should we have a multiversal champion?
You need to show there's existence of you need to prove the existence of a multiverse before we could recognize their champion.
The Mandela effect.
Gossip.
I think that the fact that
Viva Dage.
Yes.
Was that deja vu backwards?
Just mixed up. I don't think it was backwards.
Okay.
You put an N in there too, I think.
I think we're getting dangerously close to a stopping point, guys. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we call it a night?
Well, I like the idea that maybe we're going to do live watch Joe Kazana. His promotions made for me.
I love it. Amazing.
You know, you guys know I don't smoke weed, right? So none of this stuff, makes any sense to me when you kind of do it.
I never accused you of smoking it.
Because if I were stoned, then maybe I'd understand some of these things. Sober, I struggle sometimes.
What, jokes?
Yes.
Believe it or not, I'm almost straight edge except for drinking, but I'm not drinking currently.
Just out of curiosity, you have any good videos to send?
Enlighten that, please.
I'm bored, and you haven't sent, like your normal 50,000.
No, there hasn't been that much good out, honestly. That's probably why. You're talking about the 10,000 reels I send you on Instagram. There hasn't really been that good.
I know I've been struggling myself.
Yeah. I mean, I did send you those two kids beating each other up. That was kind of hilarious.
That was funny.
They were like little kids doing a karate kumite, and it was more entertaining than AEW and NWA combined.
Did they dip their fists in the hot oil and come up with spikes on their hands and stuff?
No, let me tell you, though, there was this one little girl taking on a boy.
Yeah, she was great.
That made a believer out of me. Well, she could probably win the boy. She was like, what, 6?
Yeah, she whooped that boy's butt.
No,
he was like a foot and a half taller than her too.
The boy cried.
Yeah,
she picked him up and slammed him down.
You know what we need? What we really need is like a DKM channel where you send him the videos and then he reacts to it, and then we post that on TikTok and make millions of dollars.
We really should.
If there was only
cloud chat.
If there was only 8 more hours in a day, I'd volunteer to help.
Well, we can get 8 more hours.
You can find, if you can find 8 more hours that don't take away from my family, I'd be happy to give them to you.
Yeah, I'm closing on your business.
I hardly do that either. What are you talking about?
This should get you at least 2 more hours.
By the way, when does Bucket for Rent's Championship Wrestling start?
Some people already think it is happening. If you watch the latest episode of Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, you would see that we've currently sponsoring the program, I guess.
We can put a ring in there. We surround it with all the buckets. Make sure everybody has their tetanus shots.
That would be such an insurance nightmare.
Jay.
Not really.
You've heard of an empty arena match. You've heard of a desert island match. We need a Jay's Bucket Yard match.
They've had a junkyard match too.
Hey, what are you saying,
Backyard
man?
match or whatever.
What are you saying, man?
I was trying to stay away from the junk. So, Bucket Yard. Something where, they throw each other into the buckets and bang each other off the buckets. And
we could put like piranhas and crocodiles in the buckets. Would go totally garbage wrestling Japan.
We can fill some of the buckets with water. I mean, come on.
It's been raining so much they're already filled, DK.
Oh,
we don't need to fill them up.
Good, because then that means there's probably mud and stuff around.
Oh, my yard looks
It'll be a mud show.
Call Dave. Dave, if you're watching this, we want a buckets match.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
We don't.
Dave,
We also need to bring back the bungee cord match.
I don't know where you think that your opinion counts here.
Seriously though, I think if you put the ring in there, you have the way the way that I've seen the way the yard looks, it looks really cool. It'll make a good like Mad Max looking, not Mad Max the Impaler, but Mad Max looking, background, and we could put on wrestling there. Championship Wrestling brought to you by Buckets for Rent.
If we were still in the pandemic, that might be a good idea. Hey,
you can rent the very bucket that so and so got, nearly drowned in.
So we're gonna have on soon an artist who drew this, and that would be Harley Race and Ric Flair in the steel cage. He's gonna come out with a wrestling photo book, and he'll be on here to discuss that soon.
All right.
Did we mention about Harley and Virgil? I mean, not Harley. Ole and Virgil, by the way.
No, we didn't, because the other guys covered it.
Oh, even Virgil?
Yeah, because Virgil passed yesterday, and they did their episode yesterday. But if you have something you'd like to talk about with Virgil or Ole, feel free. We have a few more minutes.
Ole, he was just a founding member of the NWA and a cranky old guy who made a lot of money before he ever got to the Four Horsemen. Virgil, I've done so many events with Virgil. I've even seen him at the the Cherry Hill Mall or the Echelon Mall. It was supposed to be a baseball signing, and there was Virgil with his table. A bunch of baseball cards everywhere. It was kind of cool. There was a bunch of baseball players. I had no idea who they were. Everybody else was acting really interesting about them.
One of my best friends was at one of those WrestleMania conventions prior to WrestleMania. He's actually been in the chat a couple of times. I kind of wish he was here tonight. And he walked over and said something to Virgil, and somehow got suckered into a $30 photo with him. And I'm like, why did you pay it? And he's, I don't know. I felt bad for the guy. Like, well, then he did his job.
He brought the meat sauce.
Paladin said, I once saw an interview Virgil was giving. He was sitting back on a couch, and you could see his balls. Thanks. Thank you.
That's nuts.
Paladin. Thanks.
That's nuts.
All right, I'd like to take this opportunity to resign.
We re-signed you. You're now re-signed with the Alliance guys.
I want out of my contract, please.
Hey, look, don't get testy.
Can't believe you had the balls to say that. Jay popped himself.
No, you got me too. You got me too. As I was falling down thinking I was hilarious, you made it even better.
Oh, you.
Shit.
Somebody needs to give you the sack.
You two are nuts. So
scrotum.
I guess I'm the dick and you two are the nuts. So
that's just probably appropriate. He likes avocado.
Hey,
that's pretty disgusting. I don't feel like we did anything to start bringing that up.
Does mean little testicles, doesn't it, or something like that, or
probably.
When I was in Colorado, I went to a Walmart and got
On
a
purpose?
little Spike Waltwicki for $1.
Witwicky.
Witwicky, thank you.
You're welcome. Was that Spike?
Yeah.
That looks more like his son.
It's the no, it's hard to see, but it again it was.
It is Spike Witwicky?
Yeah. In the movie when they're all wearing the mecha suits?
Yeah, Spike his son wore one too.
Yeah. Well, remember his son almost died.
Transform.
Oh, wow. They renamed Superman Legacy to Superman.
Oh, shit. Luthez. You boys tain't right. Thank you, Luke.
You guys want to hear an inappropriate joke?
Is it going to get me demonetized?
I don't know. It's something you would see here on Yeah Mad.
Okay, let's go.
Are you still talking?
Yes. What do you call a lesbian Super Saiyan?
Fuck.
You give up?
Yeah.
Vegeta. Vegeta.
I don't know what that is. I don't watch Dragon Ball.
That's better than the new drug for lesbians.
What's that?
Tricoxkin.
Ah. What do you call a lesbian dinosaur?
I just muted both you guys because you are not going to say that on this podcast. You're not. I love you both. You're not going to say that. Can't. We went too far, gentlemen. And like Icarus, who reached.
We can unmute ourselves, right?
I mean, I could just take you out of the chat, though. I could do that. Like Icarus, you guys have reached for the sun and your wings have melted off, and now you're falling.
We're canceled now anyway, so does it really matter anymore?
Nobody's canceled. Who said we're canceled?
Just wait till this goes out into the gay community.
Look.
Speaking of that, did you know Dave Dahl has a really high gay following?
No.
You said that before.
Yeah, he does.
I
heard they like dick.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you here each and every Thursday. This might be our last show. I've made a huge mistake, and I do appreciate you guys. We really enjoyed having this show for you guys for the last few years. And
Woodrow Walker couldn't kill it. Nobody can.
We'll see you next week.
May God have mercy on our souls.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.